All right, here we are. Another beautiful day in paradise with David the Indian and his beautiful location down in Brazil on the islands. David, welcome back. How you doing?
Just I'm just so happy. I'm laughing a lot. I'm giggling like we talked yesterday. Really, when you become uh, grounded and centered, like we've been talking about, point zero zero absolute. There's nothing left other than just joy and laughter. So thanks, Sean, once again. This is Saturday, January 18th, 2025. So uh, let's see. I don't know if you want to go ahead and start. If there's any type of news or you want to make a comment, I did send you some more messages, like I do pretty much every day. Some more names of people, kind of dropping the names and really, like I said, net weaving, not networking, but weaving the fabric of what these relationships are all about and how quickly, when we trust each other, how quickly things happen.
Yeah,
So go ahead. I don't know if you want to comment, but I did just get off of a call about a half an hour with Soli.
we
So I
did.
have I have some news to offer. But maybe if you want to comment first, and then I'll chime in, and then we'll
No,
see
not at
where we
all.
go.
I just wanted to say that for anybody watching the podcast, we're reaching out to people, and I sent an invitation to Nick with David Meltzger's group, and then there's two people in the UK that are running humanitarian projects that you got. One was James, and I can't remember the other person, but I've been also getting in touch with them, letting them know what we're doing. The goal is to promote them, their projects, let them talk about what they're doing, and give them a voice and give them a platform. So, being that today's Saturday, we might not have a lot of people jump on, but that's the beauty of it. You never know. I told them they're always free at any time to get on the call, and then gave them the weekday schedule so that in the future, but as this continues to grow, we'll have more and more people jumping on to join us to share this platform with us.
Yeah, the more the merrier. There's 24 hours in a day, so that's our only limitation is really 24 windows for each day. And so, but that doesn't mean every day is the same show. So, uh, kind of the guide, the program guide for the World Impact News Channel win uh, is like you had said, this guide where people that want to promote their project or want to like a podcast, they want to have the more reach and more relevancy in what they're doing. And like I said, I just spoke with Soli, who is somebody that you just had a couple of episodes ago within a couple of days. So uh, it's interesting, Sean. When we work together, things happen so fast. I'm talking with Soli right now, and she's like, "This is unbelievable, almost unbelievable." But because she's a channeler and she works in the world of mysticism and metaverse and these type of energies, she's not denying it, and she's not like
Right.
paralyzed by her fear that, oh my God, these two crazy people, Sean and David, are now in my life, and my whole life could just change because she's in Lithuania right now. And she was describing, I'm not going to get into the whole conversation, but ultimately, she was describing that her life right now, she's ready to rewrite a new chapter in her journey. So the timeliness of what we're doing is what it's all about, staying real time. So that's what interests her because we're not like proposing stuff that you have to delay. I mean, the things that we're offering are here now. And if you delay and you know better, that shame on you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all we can do is get it out to the public, in the public sphere. And if people receive it, great. But related to Soli specifically, she has a whole library. Like she mentioned, she did like 3 years of podcasts, as well as many other people. During the health issues in the last 5 years or so, people in home office are taking on new roles and basically integrating their life. So now they're doing multiple things like podcasts. It was just like everybody and their brother, instead of doing a website or writing a book or anything like that, do a podcast. And then from
Yeah.
the podcast, once you get a following of people, you start exchanging names and businesses and innovations, and it's infinite at that point. And so that's what Soli was saying. I had mentioned that where the real milestone right now in my life, particularly, is the preparation for this hibernation festival that we spoke about. That is planned to happen, and with all intention, it's happening. Whether I do it alone, or whether one or two people are involved, or whether 1,000 are involved, or whether we get 1 billion, it doesn't matter. It all starts with one, and that's my commitment. Coming up with some of this stuff. I'm a creative. I just don't know how to shut it off sometimes. Even at nighttime, sometimes. I don't really have that deep like sleep because my mind is just still processing. I don't know whether that's me like overdoing it, or whether the channels right now through angelic bodies and people like Soli are sending us so much information, and there is an urgency, but God themselves, itself, in angels and things like that in general cannot intervene with us. So, but they can send us messages, and by speaking with Soli right now, it was a clear message that if this is going to work, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it. There's no reason not to. And so for Soli, she was saying that this festival in February is perfect for her timing wise. She always wanted to see, the Carnival. Always, has friends in Latin America, so she can come like this part of the world, leaving Europe, and basically plant some roots, and see what happens. And if she can get involved with this project that we're doing, the BioFreedom project, and the franchise, and that her music healing and the vibrational stuff that she does, you already, kind of endorsed it yourself. You're like, that's angelic. It's like so wonderful. I just want to I just want to melt when I'm hearing something like that. That's really, that melting gets us to that 0.00 absolute. That's what we are. We're going
Yeah.
physical, liquid, gas, and then the plasma. And that's something that you talk about and have talked about, the plasma water specifically. But plasma is everything. At 0.00 absolute, the definition is plasma. So when people are like kind of contemplating what is the ether, what is all of this, it is a place. And then when you feel that energy is when you go to that place, and you can't substitute it. There's no other location. There's only one location. And it's not meant to be like a command, like a bully saying go to 0.00 absolute, but it is a conviction of years and years of scientific studies and clinical trials and all of the things coming together. We know that it comes from that point. And so anyways, that's where Soli comes in. She would like to be on Tuesday's show coming up at 10 o'clock. And then I told her we're going to mention her name in this particular episode. She can listen to see, how we are treating her, in the sincerity and the authenticity of what this is about. It's not about taking advantage. This is definitely, all of this is a compliment to what you are doing, Sean, what anyone in the audience, the listeners are doing. It's not meant to take you away. It's meant to help you complete what you're doing. And like you said, James, in the UK, from the trust, from the I think it's called the Gaianan Earth Trust, for Gaia, Gaianan Earth Trust. And so they have huge aspirations in building these eco villages, like what we're doing here with the BioFreedom Project. But, the BioFreedom Project is a technology component of operating the land and putting to functional use the natural resources that are in a community, cultural, art, theater, outdoor nature and enjoyment, like the beaches and the islands where I am, the subtropical climate. That's the whole idea, is to offer like James, and also Soli, and everyone pretty much like we talked about, Everyone needs money. It's not like Solis, she doesn't have wonderful things to offer, but she needs to be concerned. Where's she going to go next? How is
Yeah.
she going to pay to get there?
Yeah.
You know? And so, but if we have a mechanism to alleviate that money, 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 like paranoia or whatever, or total, control over our life, and we have the the time bank that we talked about, which is the parallel alternative, which is a whole living matrix. So it's set up, uh, I don't want to say more intelligently than the financial, the money, 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 but it's the next level of our understanding of what wealth is and how do we build wealth and how do we secure our futures and how do we leave the our place better for our kids and our grandkids, because that equation kind of out the window right now, and it's the first time in really a long time. I'm not saying in total history, but when we pass away, our kids are less fortunate than we are, because it's money, 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 and it costs more to live and to die even, and to have these technologies like you're promoting and distributing, Sean. It takes money. I don't know if any of that stuff is like self-financed, like internally financed in any way that you know that you could do it without money. But
Yeah.
maybe I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about some of that. Um, Also, you mentioned Nick Glazier. He's the representative of David Meltzer.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's called Sports Entertainment LLC, which Dave Meltzer is a real, a very, very powerful influencer, uh, coach in financial markets and also in the law area. He developed back years ago what the legal system wasn't digitalized. So um, Dave and the startup created this basically digital library for legal, paralegal, and all of that. So it was very successful. He's very well off. Let's put it to that way. So, but also Blaine Bartlett is another person I contacted you to, Sean. And I'm mentioning Nick and Dave Meltzer and Blaine. They want people to contact them. They want to expand. That's why this is an interesting proposal for Dave Meltzer, because he does have his own shows. He's on Bloomberg, like I mentioned yesterday, Bloomberg Television, financial television, and he talks about the markets, and he is an expert in advising new startups, entrepreneurs, and working with Blaine Bartlett is really his business partner and associate. So they do a podcast together on a regular basis, but they don't have like a 24/7 broadcast channel. And that's what I'm hoping through the invitations, if we can attract somebody like a Dave Meltzer on that level, is so critical, because really Dave has his own goal. And this is where the 1 billion people threshold to really have impact in the global market. You need to reach that 1 billion, 1.5 billion threshold. And that's what Dave has been like, very dedicated. I don't think he's reaching, 100 million. So maybe he's on his way, but this project that we're working on, the World Impact News, the WIN network, is something that can really just, we can help each other. That's why I say it's complementary. Of course, he's going to bring in, that type of level of expertise. And on a show, if he takes a 1 hour window, would be great. And he is adding a lot of value, but so are we. He just doesn't think like for example, myself, I'm relevant. So in many cases, these people that I offer you, Sean, these names, you can talk with them. And I'm sure Nick is going to say, he knows me, but he's probably going to say the guy's a little bit out there and in kind of stretching or pushing the envelope, or, a little bit too far out of the box. Even though these people like Dave Meltzer, Blaine, they talk about out of the box thinking and innovation and all of that. It's different when they're on the other side of the table, and it is scary. When we start mentioning some of the technology, I'm sure like when you, Sean, when you connect with Nick or Blaine or even Dave directly, I'm sure I already sent them your the USA MedBeds website and some background for you. So they're not going to just reach you just blindly. They're going to know, and that's the technology that you offer is something that Dave is particularly interested in, because when it comes to his clients, which these are superstars like celebrities, athletes, Olympians and all of this other stuff, the technology that you're talking about is really a performance enhancement. It's actually becoming superhuman and balanced and grounded. And so with that, then our physical performance just excels. Breaking world records is nothing without the use of drugs. Like anything other than just pure energy and pure prana and chi and these energies that we know that we can work with. So that's what I wanted to, talk about. So Soli and Dave and then also James. So we covered pretty much the three bases. I'm really very excited because all of them, I think, they're curious, they're intrigued, and something like this hibernation festival, for example, it's only a month away. And the original idea I generated about a month ago. So this is about a 2-month turnaround to have an internationally recognized quantum summit, like a world fair type of environment. Whether we arrive at that in this first annual event, which is going to be always the week before Carnival, like I said, the Carnival is what's going to attract people. They're going to say, hell, I want to go there anyways. Why not just get like a week of education and, and also cleansing, like fasting and grounding and preparation. So when they go to the Carnival, it's like, it's not just about like sex and just exploiting anybody, a person or whatever, cross-dressing and gays and lesbians and all of the groups that come out in different parades acting separately. That's the thing. Carnival, the spirit of Carnival is when the whole country of Brazil comes in unity. And with the Catholic Church, basically the beginning of Lent is the when the Carnival begins, and then you have 40 days and go into Easter, and we know all of that cycle, and so normally it costs. I've actually contacted some people to be like sponsors or event promoters, and people, Sean, are saying to me $2 million, $2 million. First of all, they're saying it's ridiculous because no event like this is ever done less than 1 year, maybe like in a 1 year planning cycle. And so, between $1 million, $2 million. But what you're going to find out, and people listening to this, what they're going to see over from the time now, which is the 17th, the 18th, actually, right? The 18th of January, in the next month. The velocity that we're going to be manifesting here is real time, and it's actually putting to practice the things that we're talking about. There's no reason to delay the inevitable, and the inevitable is we are going to evolve. There's no doubt about it. We have the technology and everything now. The real secret formula is being able to communicate what we know, and not having the censorship, and not in being open, like open shared. And so people can interact and they can debate and they can have a conversation and not feel like they're being told what to do. But we are giving alternatives now. And that's what gives the free will to make a choice, like the time bank, getting back to the time bank. If it's money, 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 and now we're saying, okay, the other side of money is time, time, time. So now you have a choice. Up until you have time, time, time on the other side, you don't have a choice. It's one way or the highway. And like you're saying, some of the people like James with the trust, the Gaia in Earth Trust, they want to develop, properties in excess of 1,000 acres with residents in excess of like 200,000 residents that live in these hyper localized, call it a 15-minute city or smart city or whatever. I mean, we're terming this process of how we look at our earth and how we evaluate community and how we actually make the adjustments to urban areas, primarily these big cities. There's no reason for people living on top of themselves like animals, like in favelas and stuff. I mean, now with the remote technologies that we have in all areas, education, health, transportation, every area. We don't need to be living in these urban populated areas. And the industrial side of things is going to be broken down more in the quantum. So in people's homes, like home-based businesses, homeschooling the children, and actually, the things that we learned in the 5-6 years with the health epidemic situation is that we're really not essential. We're not essential workers. It's really, there's very little bit of that in our society. And so that gives us the advantage that we can travel around and be more nomadic and more like gypsies. I mean, in the past, that might not have been the ideal thing. People thought that, own your own house and have your family, have the kids go off to school and have your nest egg and all of this. But, that kind of that vision is like really like made up. We are designed to be mobile and move. Uh, we don't have to, but it's nice when you can go see, like with Soli right now. She's in Lithuania. She's finishing her assignment. She needs another assignment. She's looking for how can I plug in without making a monetary investment, and how can I turn around my time to maximize the time investment. That's really what we're doing here. For anyone listening, now we're on the 6th episode, and this is going to continue for as long as it continues. Don't know when it's going to end, if it's going to end, or we're going to modify and other hosts are going to come in like Riley. I asked about Riley. I don't know enough about like your in-house capabilities. Maybe I can kind of listen now, and you can do a little bit of a background, like how are you set up? What is your capacity? Do you use outsourcing, or do you have a team of people there? Some idea, maybe how can we come together and market this event coming up in February 21st? And that it means pre-selling, tickets. Many of these quantum conferences are very expensive, in excess of $5,000 to $10,000 for that week. And we don't want to be in that like price point. We don't want to make it, we want to actually have them come and extend their visit here so that their whole cost, including going to see Carnival and everything, is whatever within their budget, whatever that budget is. Because, even during that festival on the island, the idea here, Sean, is to create an actual festival with like tents in areas in the forest. So it's immersed into like a forest bath environment, immersed in nature, and have, who knows, these kiosks. If we could do like 10 or whatever, I don't even, in one, just do one. I mean, start at one. But
Yeah.
if we can actually accelerate that cooperation, the synergy, the collaboration, and people actually kind of buy into this, they don't have to pay for that buy. The buying into it is it logical? Is it reasonable? Does it make sense? Does it have a practical use for my life, society, my community, my family? How do I benefit? What's in it for me? If we can show that there's a lot in it for you, me, everybody, then we're going to be very successful. I really believe that on this first try, And then next year is going to be like, people are going to be like begging, can I be part of this? Really, in 1 year. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the testimony that we're making here by having this dialogue between you and I. And now Soli's involved, and Dave comes in, and then James, and before you know it, and also other people on your side, Dan Winter, and other key people that could be part of this event. They don't have to physically come here. It could be a webinar, could be a mixture of online podcasts, live events, entertainment, artwork, all of it, all of a typical festival, in a festive environment, but not like a carnival festival, like kind of like all. I don't want to say it's like fake and all of that, because it isn't. It's traditionally based many, many years for people that know that. So, but we want to have fun at the same time that we want people taking away. And if they have a business and we can help them with that last piece that actually connects everything together, that's where we want to be. We want to have people like James saying, "Oh my God, this is incredible." we've been praying for this, and now it's come. That's the message, not some hokey pokey type of deliverance, but something that's surprising and intriguing and really captivating attention, and really people want to learn more, and they want to not only learn but do. See that event during that 8 days and 7 nights. On After that event is over, I have no real idea what is going to happen. I mean, if it does what I think, we need to try to work together more and more. So maybe you can, as far as coordinating resources, you may need to hire more people, or we need to bring in other partners so that some of these areas are not overwhelming for you. I mean, you have a life also, so this is a big commitment already. I mean, we spend maybe 20, 30, 40 hours of time. And as a consultant like you, Soli, and other professionals, 300, $1,000 an hour. So you start adding, or more, whatever, priceless, if you want to say that. But in practicality, there's an investment monetarily, opportunity that you could be doing something else, or anyone else even listening to these tapes. And so maybe you can go ahead. I know I keep rambling. And just like you said with Soli, once you're on a roll, you even, Sean, it's hard to stop. I mean, it's like,
It is. I know. And it's like, one thing leads to the other. And remember what we were talking about yesterday is the benefit and the beauty of listening. The beauty of
right.
listening.
And
And
the
I,
intelligence, 99% of the intelligence is that stillness and the listening. It's the 1% that we focus on, and then we miss the 99. It's no wonder we're like failing as a society, But it's easy now because we know that there's the alternative. We don't have to flip it all the way over. All we have to do is tilt it up on the edge. Basically, that's what we teach, is living on the edge. Not like Evil Knievel or something like that. Some crazy like person that's like suicidal. The edge I'm talking about is that neutrality, that area where we don't feel we have to react, that we're not living fight and flight, the stressors, that it's actually fun, enjoyable, and something we want to do over. So, yeah, there you go. Got your coffee
oh,
with you?
actually, you know what I'm drinking? It is hot sauce, cayenne pepper, lemon juice, um, uh, olive oil, sea salt, and oops. It's my homemade. It's kind of a cleansing thing, but it's like my homemade soup, and
Yeah.
I make it every morning. And like with anything, I'm always working on trying to get back in better shape, stay in good shape, um, and do the right things. Like with anything, there's the river of life flows you in different directions, but you want to always maintain your bearings and kind of set sail for the right place. I'm going to talk also about with Soleil. You know, she is the living, breathing example of exactly what we're doing. For anybody that you've heard a lot of us talking about Soleil, this is the magic. It's one video. I see this video, it pops up. I'm like listening to this angelic. I mean, I know she's in a female body, and I acknowledge that, and I talk to her that. But when I'm projecting who and what I'm actually talking to, I'm seriously talking to an angel that's off planet that is somehow embodied in this incredibly beautiful angelic form. And she has gifts like she's just at the tip of the iceberg of what she's gone through this lifetime of assembling all these skills, shamanic, all these different skills with singing, voice training, uh, and she's literally channeling like these spiritual entities like Mother Mary and Christ consciousness. And it doesn't, like you've heard me say it many times, this isn't about adjectives. This isn't about trying to describe the undescribable. This is about being exposed to things that go beyond that, like her singing, right? Her singing is just, amazing. And then getting to know her as a person, she's an incredible person. And the goal is like, when you're talking, David, and this is beautiful because we're at the same age group, people can identify. Back in the 30s and 40s, remember when they first had phones, they would call and say, I want to talk to so and so. It's like, okay. And then they would take the cable and plug it in, and they would like the operators would literally be sitting at these massive data terminals, and they'd say,
Yeah,
okay, no problem. And they'd take the wire and they'd plug it into that. And that's
yeah,
really what I feel this channel is at some level, is that we are bringing minds and talent and people with all kinds of different backgrounds together. And this is the international switchboard or the intergalactic switchboard, uh, for everybody to play their part and to everybody to contribute on a platform where they can bring their skill sets, their knowledge bases, and all these different things, and then say, look, okay, this person is looking for this. They need this last piece to finish this project. Sometimes it
right,
might be money, but many times it might just be another connection. It might be another person or another circumstance, or in this case, even with you, it's an upcoming event. Well, now we can feature some of these people at these events and start building a global or a community audience in addition to an online audience. And, this is what really inspires me. And it's inspirational having this platform that we're providing because it's open source. Everybody and anybody's welcome. And anybody that, like you've said many times, anybody that's just listening is contributing by just absorbing the knowledge and being a part of it, even as an audience member. So, it's the concept, and I like it when it's new and fresh, because if you buy in and this is something that you resonate with and you jump on board, I love you, man. And, for those people who are like, they don't have a lot of subscribers yet or something else, and, you don't see the value based on the content and the concept, and it's all about, but be the person that contributes, that grows the foundation, that grows the audience, and you will find, like we've already talked about, the manifestation of 1.5 billion viewers, right? It's already, like, when you understand the concepts, and you've talked many times about quantum physics, the minute it's reached your imagination, it is reality. Like,
right,
people say there's no difference between what you can think about and reality. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. And the reason is that there is no difference. There's no difference between what you conceptualize and imagine and what is real. And you're shaping that reality, right? And so we're claiming and shaping this reality, and we're putting out exactly what's manifesting in its present tense. So, I wanted to just kind of get back into that. And for anybody that's listening, when we're talking about Soleil, she has her own channel, and you can find it off of this channel because I did an interview with her, and then that video that she has singing, which was like it was at 1:11 and like the date, and it was like at 11 o'clock at night, and she just got this download that said you need to start, you need to set up and start singing, right? And that music is, I just call it transcendental. Like, it's transcendental sound vibration, because when you hear it and when you're listening to it, it is extremely purifying, but it is tapping into places that are above the ability for words to describe. You have to listen to it and absorb it. We've talked about this many times, and me and Soleil also described that language itself has a lot of things that are good for communication, but it does have limits. And this takes you into areas where you expand beyond those limits. So, with Mr. Metzger and all these people, man, we anything and everything that you can, that you can share, we're here. This is a platform for you. This is a platform for the person that's out there that's looking for a place to get their ideas out, to get support, right? And to get love and get encouragement and get other things that are necessary in that mission of accomplishing the goal. David, you talked on an earlier podcast about soul contracts and talked about how, it's like, look, I'm looking at the contract. I still got a lot of work to do, But we all have these agreements that we've made where we have a purpose and there's a reason for us to be here, and we're all trying to accomplish that. And we accomplish that with the help and the love and the compassion of each other. And when you realize that we are one, we're all one, right? We're doing is giving ourselves the ability to help each other, which in turn is what's making this world a better place. This is the transformation. This is the concept. The concept and the understanding converts itself into reality, right? That concept and that initial desire to make that happen and the love, when that's there, the third dimensional reality adjusts to that, right? And so we're there now. We're already living in the moment, in the present tense, that this has already been accomplished, and we've already stated it, we've claimed it, and it's manifesting, and we're living it right now. So we want you to be a part of it. We are like, I'm so grateful, David. Number one, that I met you. You can feel each episode, the momentum keeps building and building and building, and really amazing people are starting to catch wind of this and starting to contact you and reach out. And Soleil, for me, is I'm really happy that she can be a part of this because this person, this young woman, has so much to share, so much to give. She's done all these podcasts. I'm gonna say one more thing about her, and then I'll let it go back to you because I got a good rant in. Um, she goes by Starseed, right? And I hear that and I giggle because I'm like, girl, I want to just call you the star sequoia. You are like the sequoia tree that is so big and so tall that it comes so far out of the forest that you can see it 100 miles away. So
Yeah.
yeah, star seed, I love that. But for Soleil is a sequoia. And anybody that gets a chance, please. Oh, we got a visitor, James. Welcome, sir. Look at that. We just manifested another person on the show. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. Is he going to come on and say hello? Is this James from the UK?
James
The
from the
guy in
UK.
from Gaia Earth Trust. I'm not
Beautiful.
sure if this is James.
So welcome to the podcast. How you doing, sir? Need my headphones. He's going to get his headphones. But as he's getting that finished, but see, here we are. We're literally manifesting it. And at that moment, it exactly becomes
Yeah,
present tense.
it's great. Yeah, this is kind of a little bit of an impromptu. I'm just getting to know James, and like many people I've spoken about, when I reach out to them, they don't know what's going on, and many of them get very afraid, and they block me, and they do whatever. They don't. There's some people. I'm not trying to like I say hurt anybody or do harm or anything like that, but I mean, so James is one of those people where trying to build that relationship of trust, like we already spoke about, and trying to do it in a very thought provoking way, because I know that James probably hasn't spent maybe 20 minutes. I sent him some stuff, so he might have spent a little bit of time at least reading the messages that I sent, which is an investment. I mean, it takes that first step. I mean, you have to, when we're being bombarded by emails and all sorts of communication, it's really difficult to be that gatekeeper and be open. You know, many organizations, what I say, and I'm a business development person by heart, I'm a
Oh,
salesperson and a producer. Here we go. Is James with us?
sorry, hold on.
Welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic, man. Thank you for accepting our invitation and jumping on. You know, David here had found your information on your projects and what you're doing, and really our goal is to get people like yourself on the podcast to talk about the things that you're doing and kind of give you a platform to talk about your projects, what you're doing, and try to connect you out to the world to make it happen faster and be more successful.
Yeah. Right, give me 1 second because
You're good.
I wasn't So it's very. I heard what I think David what you mentioned, and it's very curious that you mentioned. I've got some thoughts. Let me just Sorry, this is what I mean. I kind of wasn't sure what to expect, so I'm I'm going to go downstairs because my brother in the other room is sleeping, so I don't want to disturb him.
You're good,
Um,
brother.
1 second. Let me just go downstairs. Ah. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys reaching out, and I can already hear by your voices that, was of course an authentic intention. I suppose it's very interesting because I noticed you guys, I think if I'm mistaken, I saw the Global People's Monetary System, the GPMS, is that right?
Oh, what was it?
Actually, yeah, he's talking about the GPMS, which stands for the Global People's Monetary System, and that is a website. I'm not personally involved, but basically
Mm,
nobody. Technically, it's what we're actually trying to accomplish here with this multimedia broadcast platform. There's really no owner. Sean and I are kind of the trustees in the sense that we're the ones investing the first whatever hours of investment to make it the nucleus to bring together the hub and things like that. But GPMS, I don't
mm.
want to get into a lot of these details, but it's very interesting. GPMS.world, and it's an organization about unity. I don't know if James, you looked into that, but
Rick
really,
Jewers, yeah.
uh, their focus is kind of like a Robin Hood type of mission. I don't want to say like revolution. There's no conflict,
Mm,
obviously. It's not about like, you know, basically replacing a troubled financial system with a less troubled financial system. It's like the less of two evil type of thing. The GPMS has a lot of validity. I've spoken very openly about some of the conversations I've had with organizers of GPMS, and we are together, we are one, we are in unity. So I'm not pointing fingers or anything like that. It's a different approach, and it's related to the financial aspects, which Sean and I, and part of the discussion we've been having, James, is about the money, money, money.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the projects, for example, that you're dealing with
Mm,
in the Earth Trust, the Gaia Earth Trust is
hmm
incredible.
mm,
It's kind of a localized effort in Wales, in the UK, from what I
mm,
understand right now, as far as preparing, a model, a prototype, or something that can be replicated like 1,000 times over, or something. I
mm.
think was the metrics that you had
Yeah.
in developing areas in 100-acre, 500-acre sites, and 1,000 acres.
Mm,
Virtually like these new, more modernized type of cities, and
mm.
incorporating the technologies that we're here talking about, with Sean specifically. But, we are trying to keep these talks to about 1 hour. It's
Yeah.
typically exactly 1 hour. And the reason
Okay.
for that is because there will be 24 episodes, 24/7 broadcasts, like a CNN or whatever, call it
Yeah,
whatever you
yeah, yeah.
want. We just want to be present, and we want to be on a regular basis so that people that are following don't they can make the adjustment in their schedule.
Mm,
Right now, Sean and I are active on at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so that'd be 10 to 11. So that's kind of an open window for us to reach out to people like you James, get
mm.
you on the show during this 1 hour period, but then come to terms where you can have one whole hour. Because
Yeah.
right now, well, we have about 20 more minutes or so of this completing this hour. And what we don't want to try to do is really, throw all the spaghetti up against the wall so fast it's
Mm.
going to scare the hell out of people.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, we need to be practical and critically think out how we actually accomplish what the potential is of us coming together in synergy that in team, for example, together everyone achieves more. So as
Yeah.
I said to Sean earlier about a couple of other people that we are coming into this like really quickly, like
Mm.
we're talking with people and within 24 hours they're on the show and they want
Yeah.
to be on the show.
Mm.
And it's not our show, it's everyone's show, because
Mm.
when you come in that hour, you are the host of that hour.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're trying to keep it to 1 hour is because we really have an innovative education reform kind of program where people, when they watch these 1 hour segments, they get one time credit. So it's an investment of time that is measurable. And after that 1 hour, there can be, I don't know exactly how we do it to try to keep people as honest as possible, and also try to really help people to learn the process of learning. That's really what it comes down to. We don't have the ability to digest all of what life is about all at the same time. I mean, we do need to be fractal in that sense, like a holographic. We talked about these things like holograms, holographics. We need to try to set, like a project where we have a specific goal, objectives and all of that, outcomes, and we need to close. We don't want to have a show that's so open that there's no action. And like, for example, yourself, James, and I don't mean to be like doing all the dialogue on this call. You're going to have a chance after I finish here in a second, describing what this potential is really about, because people are still just, even Sean, trying to really understand, more and more every day about, my own personal passions and what I've been working on, and how that works with you, James, and your team, and the trust is that I do have an organization called ePort, which stands for Echo Park Ocean Reserve and Trust. So, I've been involved with the Land Trust Alliance, which is, in my opinion, perhaps the go-to organization in Washington, D.C. is where they are. The Land Trust Alliance talks about how do we create what you're proposing, James, with the Earth Trust, ultimately, alternative sovereign societies that where people can have the freedom and the luxury to thrive in their life, to eat healthy food from healthy soils, to have clean air, clean water, and all of the abundance that we're talking about. So my own personal journey, I guess, for 27 years is how to optimize all of these conditions that you, James, your board of directors, all of the influencers that you're dealing with are grappling every day. I mean, you have something that's valuable, it, and everyone else does. But really, from what I understand, and this maybe you could chime in at this point, it's the money that is really preventing. So, and we've spoken about this. I've sent you information about the time banking and time coins. And basically, Bitcoin plus time coin equals the we coin. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do is come to we. And we is unity. The definition of we, and we said this earlier, we means you, James, Sean, it means me, it means them, it means us, it means we. We is every person, place, and thing, everything possible and everything impossible. So that is what we're trying to do, not be polar. Like I said, money. That's one side. Everything has a polar opposite, an inversion, positive, negative, feminine, masculine, and all of these yin and yang. So we know that we can be polar, but we also know that in that polarity and extremism, that's when things like cults and false information and Machiavelli and all of these things come out. So the whole idea with this show right now with Sean, the World Impact News Channel, WIN, WIN. So if you want to win, what are you going to do? You're going to tune in. That's what you're going to do. You're going to listen to James right now. If you want, just spend a minute, maybe, and then describing whatever you want in kind of closing. And then Sean, you can come in, and then we'll wrap it up and try to schedule James and maybe others in his organization to come on and actually have a whole show, like 1 hour, where James can do like a presentation, if that's what James wants to do. So go ahead, James.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing all of that. I can palpably feel your passion, which is so important. These are the things that that are going to get this stuff done. Secondly, I do want to apologize if I did come across somewhat, should we say, repelling with your messages. I didn't mean to. It's just like you actually said it. I heard it while I was coming downstairs to get my headphones. People talk a lot of things, and there are a lot of things that get sent through. And so sometimes through preservation of energy, we just sort of take our time figuring out, right, what are we about? So, for example, one of the things that I would share through total transparency is we are we have been on this mission for 3 years, and we pretty much have nothing to show from it apart from the diligent collection of what we believe is the plan moving forward. So you said it yourself, money, money, money. That is the thing that we're waiting for now. So over the past 8 months, myself and my brother Lucas, Emily's
James,
over. Yes.
I need to interrupt, but I lost your audio.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Now I can.
Do you know, it might be because I washed my headphones accidentally the other day. So,
So you were good for like the first few minutes, and then I lost you for a minute, but you're back again.
right. Okay. Let me try and I'll swap. How's this?
That's perfect.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah,
These are
that's
probably,
perfect.
yeah.
And before you go, I just want to say, man, thank you so much for jumping on. I'm
Oh,
super excited to
pleasure.
learn about this project.
Mm,
And the one thing I do want to also say, like even today, if we go a little bit late, it's worth it because you're here.
okay.
And
Yeah.
so your time's valuable and I want to hear about it. But this is your platform, right? Like
Mm,
what we're doing is your platform. And I don't want you to ever feel like, if we do a show, that was the show, dude. I want you to be here
mm,
and to contribute. This is an ongoing thing. So anytime you say, hey, Sean, I need 30 minutes, there's something new that's happening. I want to
mm,
get this out. This is an ongoing thing. This platform is open source. So with that
mm.
being said, man, let me throw it back to you. Tell us about your amazing organization, and let's wrap up the show with the time that you need, even if we go a little bit over, if that's
Yeah.
okay with you.
David, is that okay with you?
That's perfect with me,
Yeah.
James. Go
Wonderful.
go for it.
Well,
Yes.
what I'll do is I will speak as concisely as I can so that I do just for the sake respect our time with this. But and the second part of this as well, which I will add this in here. First of all, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I get a lovely energy from both of you, and it needs people like yourselves who are going to create these spaces where people can communicate. This is the tricky thing. There's a lot of noise in the world, and so being able to communicate and create the space for people to communicate is extremely important, and I know it's a task. I've I've been in the internet space for quite a few years, and it's a task to do so, to gather people, to organize things. So all the power to you. So what I was saying was to give complete transparency. So we've got the Gaia and Earth Trust, and its sole purpose is to acquire land to distribute to people. We don't have anything to show for it project wise. We were on two different farms with two different pieces of land with two different owners. We put a lot of time into effort in both projects. Both projects didn't pull through. This led us to the inevitable conclusion that if we are going to do something here in starting in Wales, going out throughout Britain, Scotland, and Ireland, and then eventually the world, although by that point, I'm sure more people, as they are, will take up the mantle of responsibility and will get going with it. So we don't have land at the minute, and we don't have the means to get going. However, it's our primary focus and objective. And so what we felt, and you guys have mentioned holographic universe, you've mentioned about unity. So we're on the same page here in regards to the nature of our world and this existent this planet Earth and the universe we exist in. And so myself and Lucas, we've very much gone through a character shift over the past 8 months. That means we've been observing our behaviors, observing our mentality, our thoughts, the way we carry ourselves, um, you know, potentially looking at changing who we are so that we are ready for the task to come, which is, as we've been talking about, it's creating villages, communities, counties, and then ultimately ethical countries where everything, well, the vast majority of things is local. The timeline for this is unknown. It happens when it happens with the effort of people involved. But things are local. We're supporting ourselves. We're eating, as you said, pristine food, which is a word I like. We're growing it in pure soil. We've got pure water because we're not polluting the water from the mountain streams, through the lakes, through the rivers, blah, blah, blah. We, etc., etc. So we are talking about a return to a beautiful way of life. And it always makes me chuckle because people often think it's a downgrade from modern society. I think it's a vast upgrade considering the tap water that we're drinking, the poisoned food from the industrial agriculture, etc., etc. So we're talking about a return to the pristine origins, which David, is it yourself who I've been speaking to on WhatsApp, Akash?
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
has.
So
I
when
think so.
you
Let me say this. I think it's me. I don't know if somebody's like,
okay.
stole my identity, but I hope they didn't say anything bad. Let's face
No.
you that.
No, they didn't know. So yeah, you mentioned about Anastasia. Their books that we've read, all 10. Again, we take from it what we take from it, and it's the basic principles that families get 2.5 acres that we love. You know, there is enough land. So Michael, our other associate, he's a fantastic mind. Done a lot of work on the looking at the numbers and how it could possibly work from a global level, because we say that something can't be ethical unless 8 billion people have the same opportunity. The word itself becomes a paradox. You know, if unless 8 billion people have the opportunity, not to say everybody will want the opportunity, but as long as they have access to it, we can call it ethical. So it really is a kind of um, like a phantom concept until we get the ball rolling. So my point being is that we don't have the land yet, although, as you mentioned about the holographic universe, we've been changing our internal states of being in order to use our imagination, our feeling states to create the end result. So we really do feel like we're in limbo. You know, we're kind of in between, you know, what we've been doing at one of the farms we were at and the second farm we were at until now getting we need our own land now. And another thing myself and Lucas have been doing is creating a body of work that is based upon the Arthuriad. Do you guys know King Arthur and the Round Table, etc., Lady of Sovereignty? You guys familiar with the stories?
I mean, not the Lady of Sovereignty, but King Arthur.
Okay. So it's you know, much like some of the perhaps okay, well that's all right, Sean. I think David
He'll
may
be
have
back. He'll be back.
he'll be
Keep
back,
going,
no
brother.
worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much like you know, these stories of the Arthurian mysteries, should we say, they captivate people, much like the passing of Diana, much like there are certain characters, certain stories and things within our world that have captured the hearts of people. You know, they could almost, it doesn't matter what belief or background or etc. that you have. Hi, David, can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Listen.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back. I'm back. I'm sorry. I popped off.
No
You know,
worries, no worries. So I was
uh,
just saying, and I'm almost finished, so which probably is good time. Um, we are very much moving into the Arthurian, um, King Arthur, you know, the Lady of Sovereignty, the Round Table, because it's a very British. Not that again, that's irrelevant. You know, Britain, France, America, South America. It doesn't matter. You know, this is a unity premise, as you mentioned, David. But the point is that we are creating a body of work which we will, when the finances come in, I will start. You know, we'll do videos. We'll create a physical space where the tagline is that it will be a place of education and embodiment for all that is good and decent. You know, we're almost like we're in the mind space at the minute of trying to simplify everything. You know, like there's a lot of complicated stuff in the world, and we're asking ourselves a question, which again is linked to communities, because it's all good talking about communities and gardens and forest gardens and plots of land and families. If people can't relate and get on with each other and learn to sort of carry themselves as people from a decent and a place of goodness and a place of you know, compassion, which there are nuances to this. It's a huge conversation. But if we can begin to educate people on their self-worth and what they, you know, their self-love and who they are and what they are deserving of, which is everything that we should have had from birth: clean air, water, vegetables, a space. Um, so this is what we're seeking to do. We're seeking to bring this forward. Now, there are a few things I could share that are a little bit out there, so perhaps for next time. But you know, we're looking at Wales is a very important place for the Arthuriad. You know, King Arthur. We only went for a hike through Yr Wyddfa, which is Snowdon, the mountains here, which is just on our doorstep. And the Lady of the Lake is supposed to be um, uh, been seen in the ancient times on a few of the lakes within the mountains. So we're here in a very rich part of the of the world historically. And we want to bring those principles of goodness, decency back to the world. So I'll round up here. The understanding is that we've got the Gaia and Earth Trust. It's still our project, our organization. Michael, myself, and Lucas. Emily and I were together as a partner. We're not anymore. We haven't been for about 7 months. So there's a conversation there at some point. But we are then seeking to sort of create this place where we can educate is an interesting word, present ideas and present information and present things that are, simple and easy to live by, things that are as basic as we were kind of looking into the principles of it being tending to the mind, tending to the body, being of service to others. So we've got these self-love principles in here. We've got the being of service to other human beings, and seeking to keep the world turning through acts of kindness. So that's where we're at. And as you say, financially, I'll be honest, we're both destitute.
Yeah.
We're not like, it's not something we're concerned about because we've been in these situations before, and the universe, the world, all that is, God, whatever, always provides. It always has done, always will do. It's a part of the journey, but it's comically challenging at the minute. But at some point, we will, of course, acquire the resources or the funds, which again is a question mark. Because sorry, Lucas, I'm just on something, bro. I'm just on something. Yeah. So yeah, so where was I? It's gone.
That's good. That's good, James. You've done a great job. Thank you. Thank you so much.
That'll do
Yeah,
then, I suppose. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Just the last sentence. We aren't sure whether it's the finances that come to acquire the land, or whether the land becomes available, or whether there's an event that happens in the world. It's a question mark. But one thing we are certain about, and then I'm finished, is that we're unwilling to do the things that the world, not even the world, but the certain controlling factions would want us to be doing from a place of survival. So we're relinquishing that, and we're trusting in this journey and knowing that if we continue to work on ourselves, that the right moment will come forward. So I appreciate you guys listening, and that's it.
Okay, great.
Love that,
Sean,
man.
I'm gonna just chime in here really quick. Try to I don't know, offer James maybe the biggest gift in his life. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that this whole thing, Sean, for James and Emily and Lucas and Michael and everyone that is involved here, just is so happy. It's like winning the lottery. I mean, it's not about the money; it's just about winning. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying? We all want to win. We
mm,
all want, the time, like James, like you just mentioned, I'm sure if you calculated all of the time, like you said, 3 years or so, I believe is
mm,
when this started, right?
yeah,
So, and it's pretty much a 24/7 mission. It's kind of like a mission, a purpose, a passion, or whatever. So if you just do the basic calculations, 24 hours a day times the 3 years, it's a lot of hours, 80,000 hours or something.
mm,
That's each of you. So then you start adding up cumulative, the time invested here for you. Maybe, like you said, we don't have like anything to show like in solid, something that actually is sustainable model, that actually is using regenerative systems and actually doing the things that we know are possible. So you might not be there, but that's the gift that Sean and I are offering right now. It's about the plugging, the ability for you, your organization, your circle, not just you immediately, but everybody. I mean, like you said, until we get like it's not exactly 8 billion, I'm sure. There's an exact number. Until we know exactly how many humans are there, we
yeah,
need to have an audit, because even
yeah,
in some communities that I work in land development, I ask, how many people live here, even in my own community right here in Costa Sul, San Sebastian, the city. Costa Sul is a very defined geographic area. We know the communities within Costa Sul. We know they've done the census just last year, so they went to every house. They even came to the island here for the first time in 60 years. Did a census person come here and actually tabulate that people were living here? And my wife and I are the only occupants of this property. And to keep it kind of a little bit short, we can get into this a little bit more. Like I said, let's schedule when Sean, we all come together. Let's schedule like an hour or so in preparation. I've already sent you a lot of information. And I know that it's like not really feasible for you and Sean and everyone else to review all of that. And that's not the purpose. The purpose is have like a breadcrumb trail so that when we go through these milestones and these actions that we actually take and manifest, we can have points of light that we can go back and say, oh yeah, David mentioned that. Oh my God. Or James mentioned that, or whoever kind of gets credit for bringing that whatever to a point of conscious awareness. It's not a proprietary thing, because I don't know about you, James and Sean, but I really don't create virtually almost anything. I'm a chef in trade, in background. My artistic abilities in the past have been working with food and drink and desserts and buffets and events. And, so it's about that. I don't want to go off on tangents about that and necessarily. It's interesting. In prior episodes, we talked about, setting everything in place. That's what a chef does. And that's what you do. Anyone in business, you have different departments, you have assets, resources, credits, debits, and all of that. You can manage a project. You can manage. We know that. Now we have AI that actually is managing it even better than we can manage it. And so I just wanted to ask you before we conclude here, and Sean can ask a couple of questions. A couple of people that are important. Well, Ethan Miller. I sent you Ethan Miller. Did you see that with the optimization model?
Not yet, I don't think. No, I need to go back.
When we get off, if you go to that Ethan Miller, and I have the link there, and I can share that with anyone else that's interested in alternative economies, in societies, in civil society. That's what Ethan Miller spent hundreds of thousands of hours getting to a point where he put it into a flow chart. It's a pie chart. So it's 12 o'clock or 0, then 1, 2, 3 go around the clock clockwise, and you do it twice, it's 24 hours. So he has identified basically, I believe, what the trust, your Earth Trust, is about. But he makes it very simplified, like in a step-by-step process. And basically, instead of going through all the steps, because it is integrated, it's complex, and it involves everything, health and education and transportation, energy, everything, banking, everything. But really, it starts out, and this is the kind of the closing and the important thing here for you, James, and I, developing our relationship. It starts out with the ownership of the land.
Yeah.
And to optimize, Ethan Miller says, there are no owners of any land. Even indigenous people that claim that they were there, the first people, the native people, don't own that land, and most indigenous people don't claim that anyways. They migrate, they're nomads, they move around, they farm different areas, different times of the year. More nomadic in the way. So the rights of nature is really what we promote. Is that these natural resources, Earth is owned by Mother Nature. That is the owner, and God ultimately is Mother Nature. However you want to define it, it's beyond us. This planet is a resource for everybody to enjoy, and not just one nation, like what you were saying, the UK. But then you stop yourself right away, because you realize how, I don't want to say pathetic that is, but the reality is the work that you're doing with the trust is a globalized effort that is to be replicated everywhere, so that people have the sovereign ability to go wherever you want, whenever you want, and ultimately do whatever you want as long as it's in the betterment of the community and yourself and things like that. Nobody's going to object and say, no, James, you can't give back to the community, or to your family or whatever. So the kind of the point, we'll get into this when we go into a more in-depth, like 1 hour show, but it's the ownership of the land that causes the finance. And I'll give you a specific example. The island here, when I came here 27 years ago, was abandoned. And Wikipedia said it's dangerous. So we are talking about assets, a land value asset here of about $35 million that Sotheby's actually valued this island with nothing on it. With nothing. Yeah. Okay? And so it was an underutilized, or even worse, a poorly utilized or a non-utilized asset or resource in our community. But it took me the courage of coming here, like Kevin Costner in Dancing with Wolves, the movie. Settling the West. There were people, pioneers like you, me, Sean. We are pioneers. We're on the edge. Like I said, we're on the edge of infinity. So what we're trying to do is apply the science of mathematical engineering and technology that we know about the physical places we call community, cities, home, or whatever, some place that we hang our hat and live our lives. So once again, I don't own this island. Nobody does. Do we have what's called a concession, which is a 99-year title to actually utilize, to put into practical use the island? The answer is yes. Are we conforming legally? The answer is yes. All of the above is all wonderful. What's not so wonderful, and this is, I don't want to end on like negative or pointing fingers, but basically I'm an American guy, come here to Brazil. They don't like Americans. And I don't know if they like the UK people either. Anybody that's like, that has a history of oppression and servitude and stuff like that. This is a communist. Brazil is a communistic country. It's not Venezuela or Cuba in that way, because they do have open democratic elections and what have you. But ultimately, what's happening here in Brazil is a program called MST, which stands for Movement Sem Terra, which otherwise would be movement without the land. So the government here is actually training the poor people and educating them to find these unutilized assets and go ahead and set up a homestead and go ahead and start farming that land. Whoever owns it, most of the time in non-utilized assets, the ownership is stuck in some legal situation. And that we don't have time to have these lands, like with Ted Turner, for example, CNN. The largest landholder in the United States is Ted Turner, private landholder. I mean, he has so much land, there's no way that one person could ever possibly live on that land. So these are what, it's not like a Robin Hood. Like I like Ted Turner personally, and in what I know about the man, but the fact is, accumulating these land assets and locking them up so that the local people can't benefit is not the way to go. And to own the land is not the way to go. And to sell these, willable trusts and things where somebody actually claims that they own that dwelling is not the way to go, according to Ethan Miller, according to the social science studies, the solidarity economy. And here in Brazil, I even mentioned Dr. Paul Singer, who's very important. So once again, the messages that we've been going back and forth with, James, yourself, like you said, when I first contacted you, you're just like everybody else, pretty much, skeptical. There's spammers, there's scammers, there's all sorts of crazy things out there. And I'm not denying that I'm not crazy or foolish or whatever, because that's what makes it exciting. It's knowing it all, but knowing that you don't know it all. That it's like it's just so wonderful. So that's what I wanted to say. If you can look at the Ethan Miller in that flow chart, That is the business plan, the master plan, the
Mm.
marketing plan, the finance plan, and it is in an integral, incremental, a flow. So it's easy to put your arms around. There's a lot of data. He has a couple of 100-page like white paper actually describing. I don't know if you're looking at that right now. Are you looking at that flow chart?
Yeah, the one you've sent me, the resolution's very pixelated. So I have the PDF that is from the clicking from the website. I just don't have the image. It's so I don't know if you have a second image, do you? One that's a bit clearer because I can't read
Yeah,
any of the word.
actually, I've been getting that feedback from other people as well,
Okay.
James. And all I can do is if you go, I gave you like kind of the search engine words, Ethan
Right.
Miller,
Okay.
in that if you go,
As
you
long as
see Google.
Yeah, I want to make sure I get the right one, of course. So I'll have a look, probably send it to you, just double check. There's a few here, so it should be fine. I can see a few here.
It's the one that says solidarity economy right in
I
the
got you.
center.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
got you. Okay.
it's the only one that's that way.
Yeah.
That is the best one. All of Ethan's work is incredible. He's with Rise Up Movement out of Maine, uh, many years. When I first came across that, man, I was jumping for joy, James, because I
Yeah.
had spent a lot of time in university and thesis and stuff on how to create an optimization land development model. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, somebody already did it. Thank
Yeah.
God that I don't have to do that. And that's the message, really. When Sean can comment here, but that's the message. This is about helping you uh, 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 really maximize, optimize your situation. And like Sean
Mm.
said, it's about like an infomercial. This hour coming up when we come on, it's like an infomercial, and it is unedited, and you can take bits and pieces, whether it's this episode or any episode that we record. We
Yeah.
actually get pleasure when people copy what we're doing, and we
Mm.
don't need like patents, and we don't need like I know that the business that Sean's in with all of this medical equipment, I don't when you learn about that, what's important about what Sean's doing is important about what you're doing, because the biggest thing about these communities is the health of the people that live
Mhm.
there, the
Yeah.
physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And so that's the holistic model, and that's what Sean comes in with some of this technology. When we build these communities,
Yeah.
you, me,
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
we're going to be we're going to be transforming the landscape of the earth, and we're not going to be like so urbanized, because now we have alternative transportation modes and all sorts of interesting things to present. Like you said, James, you have some real interesting stuff for right now. You're going to hold on to that. That's kind of like
Mm.
your ace. And
Mm.
in an hour interview, you're going to be putting those aces on the table, and
Yeah.
you're going to win the house. You're going to
Mm.
win, and everyone's going to win. That's the good news. There are no losers.
Mm.
It's just a matter of how much you're going to apply yourself, because
Yeah.
now we have the intelligence, we have the resources, we have people like you that have organizational structure, lessons learned, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours of applied science and reasoning and psychology and philosophy and mythology, and
Very
it's
true. Yeah.
it's off the chart. So I'm going to let Sean, we're at 20 minutes over right now, so we can wrap this one up, maybe an hour and a half, a little bit longer, but exciting. Once again, James, thank you so much for being open-minded, open-hearted, and just
Yeah.
following your bliss, following
Mm.
your dreams, and I
Mm.
think it's going to be huge payback. And so go ahead, Sean.
David, thank you, man. And James, thank you for jumping on. And I do want to circle back to the story because I think that resonates with a lot of people. It resonates with everybody and anybody that's had a dream, that's wanted that dream to come true. And there's certainly trials and tribulations that go along with making that happen. And I have so much respect for you because you persevere, you laugh your way through it, which is essential, because when the laughter comes through, it dissolves seriousness, and when you dissolve
Mm.
seriousness, then manifestation is possible. Nothing can be manifested in a state of
Mm.
anxiety, stress, and everything else, which is very hard even for people to understand or live that. You can talk about it, but when you laugh it through and say, here we go again, how are we going to get out of this, what is it, that is the part of it. And the other part I think is important is that your dream is our dream.
Yeah.
Your work is our work. Your agenda, what you're trying to do, is our agenda. We are all together now part of this project that you're working on. And having the land is not the most important piece.
Mm,
Having the knowledge and the
mm,
wherewithal and the skills and the learning, because everything happens at the right time. So circling back and saying, let's change how we think about things. Let's change how we reevaluate our thought structure. You're laying a foundation now. So when the land is there, and in my mind, you already have the land,
mm,
that necessary little dial or twist was necessary. So when that came, you were more prepared for that part of it to take place. And so embracing the mission, manifesting it, and in my mind, in David's mind, in your mind, you already have the land. It's already
mm,
present tense. We are claiming it, manifesting it. Anybody watching this video is sending that manifestation that we are visually seeing the land, and it already is present tense. It's not the future. We are claiming it in the present moment that you have the land, the project is going on, and you're living every day now that it
mm,
is present tense and that you do have the land, and you need to start evaluating, okay, how do we get the next batch of cows to this pasture? Or, I don't know. There's a lot of details that go in that. But I'm super happy that you took the time to be part of this podcast today, and we can talk about after we get off the call. When you want to do that 1 hour session, because you're always welcome. This is your platform. Like, we'll start off with the hour, and we'll get all that information out. We'll plug the website. We'll get the information of what you're doing. We'll find like-minded people that can all come in and start contributing. Everybody, like I said, and David has said many times, it's watching the podcast is contributing. So sending out that positive thought, that loving energy to push you along in your mission and just give you a boost and say, hey man, we're here with you. We believe in you. We love what you're doing. The world needs this, and the time is now, man. So for all the
yeah.
beatings that you take and all the hardship and all those different things, it does is it builds your it builds your resolute. It builds your ability to persevere, because that is really a testing point for everybody on every goal, on every mission. We all go through it, but to have those people with you to say, man, we're with you and we believe in you, that's what this platform is all about. So with that being said, David, I think I'll pretty much wrap it up here if that's good with you. But I would like to just throw it back to you one more time, James, and then David to you one more time, to just any final words or any final comments before we call this episode.
So again, thank you, and I agree and resonate with both of you. And it was wonderful what you said about visualizing the land. That's important, and it actually touched my heart a little bit because, this is again something we're really passionate about, is thinking and feeling the best for others. And this is really like we're getting that message very strongly. We wish for others more than what we wish for ourselves, only by a little comedic sort of thing, because naturally we all, when you wish for others beyond, it comes back around. It's a never ending cycle of love. And that's why I love that little quote. It's the little acts of kindness that keep the world turning. Beautiful. So Sean, I would love to perhaps afterwards hear a little bit more about yourself. David, I'll go through those links and I'll gather the information from what you've sent me. I'll have a look at Ethan Miller. I'll speak to Lucas. I'll speak to Michael. And yeah, I would be certainly interested in looking to come do an hour. Maybe even Michael, perhaps even Lucas. Yeah, we'd be chuffed to.
Yeah,
Well,
David, real quick.
go
I
ahead.
always, James, I always say we're not wishing for something to happen. We're living as if it already
It's done.
has
Yeah,
happened. We're in
yeah,
the
yeah,
present moment.
absolutely.
And it's such
Mm,
a small little twist, but
mm,
you start living and breathing as if this project is alive and you've got the land and you're in
mm,
that moment. The third dimensional reality now is adjusting to the fact that it
yeah.
is happened. It has happened, right? And so, with that being said, David, finish us up here and let's have your final thoughts on this.
Well, many thoughts. This is the way it goes with this podcast. I mean, I get off. Typically, I get off of the podcast, and I get with my wife first of all because she's
Mm.
like already called me like 3 times, wonder where I am. I'm on an island. I got people all around me, and she thinks I'm lost somehow. So she wants to keep track of me. you know, anyways, um, this important thing coming up is this event on the 21st of February to March
Mm.
1st, which is an
Okay.
8 day and 7 night window where we're doing a festival called Hibernation Festival. And that's with a Y, HYBER Nation Festival. But it has a play on hibernation, HIBER, which is the act that animals go through in the
Mhm.
winter to preserve their life. They need to
Mm.
sleep like excessively like that to get through the hardships like you get in Wales and
Mm.
Ireland and all other in the northern hemisphere. And so that event, James, put it in your calendar because there's a possibility that actually this is going to come together. So financially, it might be that you, Lucas, or a team of people can
Mm.
come here and actually be part of that 8 day, 7 night event. It's the
Okay.
first annual event. If it doesn't happen that way, if you're not physically here, doesn't mean you
Mm.
don't get benefit. Doesn't mean that we're not going to do the podcast every day, at least an hour. And
Yeah.
during that time frame, during that week, you can go on again and actually start to refine kind of your presentation. And we can work together, like Sean mentioned. The resources that we have are shared resources. So in your world, I'm sure you have all sorts of like people that are volunteering overtime and consulting and experts in IT and marketing and attorneys and a whole host of
I
people in
mean,
your circle or in your tribe. And
mm.
so this event on the hibernation event, February 21st to March 1st, is the week before Carnival. And the idea is to do this hibernation activity every year right before Carnival. And so
Mm.
it's a workshop of fasting and cleansing and grounding spirituality, soul, kind of soul searching or soul contact, or with ayahuasca, plant medicine, immersed, festival where we have kiosks set up. That's the vision.
Mm.
That it's like a wellness island. So the island
Yeah.
transforms for this festival. But the nice part is it's all going to be recorded. And after 8 days of extensive conversations and tying into people both live and also online, the content is going to be hundreds of hours worth of live, rich content. We're going to be making a documentary film out of this event. So it's actually going to be like a cinematic Gaia, National Geographic, Discovery Channel, History Channel type of quality, professionally filmed, organized, and what have you. That's what we're leading to. That's the benchmark. That's kind of the ultimate, like the goal, not the ultimate goal, but the short term, like what's in it for us together, and how do we really leverage the communication of what this hibernation festival is about and the potential of it. This year, we are looking at quantum mechanics, quantum realities,
Yeah.
AI, machine learning, and advanced communications, advanced energy systems, advanced like drones with no batteries. These are types of like aces, like you had said. There's some things that are kind of crazy that I don't want to mention right now. We don't have the time. This
Mm.
hibernation festival is an actual legend. It's creating a date with destiny. This is going to be an event like with Tony Robbins. A date with destiny. I think it's 5 days in West Palm Beach is like $10,000 per person.
Mm.
So we're not like looking at it as a price point on doing this, but when it comes to generating finance and money, like liquid cash to do projects, this event, this festival can be a platform where we can go out to venture capitalists, startups, and other investors, angel investors primarily. And so that's what I wanted to mention, this hibernation festival. And then in ending, I don't know if you know Jeremy Rifkin. Do you,
No.
James? You know the name Jeremy Rifkin. And this is somebody that I mentioned already to Sean. Trying to get Jeremy Rifkin to come on this podcast would be amazing. He's incredible. He's an economist out of Washington, D.C. He has like the International Economic Advisory Board or something. He works in the European Union, advises all sorts of countries on how to leapfrog, how to make that quantum leap, and how to go into areas, like I said, with energy, communication, and alternative transportation is what Jeremy focuses on. Those three areas, if you can solve those, then when you start doing like an eco village network, now you have the backbone for the sustainability, because that's the areas: communication, energy, and transportation. And when you do that, that's a monopoly. When you are in a localized area and you have those controls, then you can maximize, optimize, you can monopolize. But that's where we don't want to take advantage, like capitalism, and monopolize on other people. That's not the monopoly I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is really the optimization of what Jeremy Rifkin is about. He's an author of, I think, 40 books. The book I'm most prevalent to know about is called The End of Work. And back in 1990, Jeremy talked about AI, robotics, and the hydrogen energy web and all of these things back in 1990. So he's like a visionary, a futuristic guy, very well-spoken, charismatic, awesome. He's an older man now. I think he's about 70 or so years old, maybe a little bit older. So his work is most recently, the book is called Planet Agua. So instead of being like the green, 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 what Jeremy's saying, it's blue. We are on a blue planet, and without water, we are dead. There's no photosynthesis without water and sun, ultimately. So that's where really economics are coming down to the grassroots, right to the basis of our food supply, and also air and water. We already talked about that. So I would recommend also, if you don't know Jeremy, go online, Jeremy Rifkin, Rifkin, and Planet Agua is his most recent book. So with that, I'm so excited. Like I said, there's so many things we can talk about, but the fact is we want to help you today. So when you meet together and you come on, bring a list of like your 3 wishes, the 3 wishes that you have, that if we were able to come together in an hour and satisfy those wishes, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? But take time to think of the 3 wishes and also define them. Like Sean just said, when we manifest, we have to believe it already happened. So even Sean said, it's not about wishing for something. It's actually making it happen. Do it. Don't wish, don't pray. You know, I mean, I'm not saying there's not value in that stuff, but the reality is we are holographic. We are a simulation. We have the ability to create the world of thriving or the world of pain and suffering. And obviously we live in the pain and suffering, so we want the other option right now. Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much. Once again, Sean, wrap it up. Let's go. Let's move on. Go ahead.
Once again, another great podcast in the books, tucked away in the Akashic Records for everybody to view, past, present, and future. James, thanks for being on. We'll circle back, and between me, you, and David, pick a day that's good for you. I think we've got Soleil on Tuesday, but we've got free slots right now on Monday and Wednesday. And David, I think, we'll talk to Soleil, but I think if we could get her as a regular person on the show, on the podcast, as often as she's available, she also brings a lot of great insight. So we'll have to maybe see if we can get her to become a little more regular depending on her schedule. But with that being said, thank you, man, once again for everything. Thank you for jumping on. God bless you both. I love you guys, and I will see you here on the next episode.